and hard papers. But when Shruti introduces these themes, it's a joy to write because words just flow. You don't have to read 10,000 books to write something. It comes from the heart. So I really enjoy this format of work, which is not so academic and it's not so formal. You can write what you like. So this the thing that I have written about street and city renaming in the book, and we have seen in the past few years there has been too much of renaming exercises going on, and that has really made me uneasy. So every time, for instance, Mughal Gardens are renamed to Amrit Udyan, or for that matter, Racecourse metro station is renamed as Lok Kalyan Marg. So there's a sense of uneasiness. Like, why are we doing this? What do we achieve? If I've lived with a name and somebody tries to call me with another name now, I would be, very unhappy about it. But what are we trying to erase? And can we erase what is already written? So these are some of the questions. So then I looked up the guidelines for renaming streets and places, which was uploaded by the Ministry of Urban Development on their website. And what the guidelines say in the 1999, that a street name or park name change should be initiated by the residents and their welfare organizations. It can't be imposed top down. So if the residents want, then the street's name should be changed. And for villages also, ideally street names, village names should not be changed because that will create a lot of chaos. People have to change their identity cards. It leads to property disputes. It happened in Chennai. They tried renaming some streets and the residents were very upset because that would mean a lot of bureaucratic work for them to change your address on the documents. So yet despite these guidelines, we have seen unprecedented renaming in the recent years. So I just wanted to bring up certain examples. Like, this website I saw, now Aurangabad is now called Sambhaji Nagar. But in brackets, this is a tourism website, somebody, I think a tourist operator. But still in the bracket, they want to use Aurangabad. So the point is, like, you're trying to change the narrative, but you can't erase the history. The fact is that Aurangabad, was a place where Aurangzeb had a history. And, there's Bibi Ka Maqbara, and that is called the Taj Mahal of the South. And those Mughal kind of architectures you cannot remove, and you cannot erase that history. So the point is that even if you rename, you cannot erase. All right, so the next example I just wanted to bring from Singapore, where I went for my doctoral studies. So I was on the purple line in the MRT, and suddenly the lady went, next station, Dhobi Ghat. And I said, oh my God, that's a very strange name. And it sounds so much like Dhobi Ghat. Like, can it be real? Like, what would Dhobi Ghat mean in Chinese? Like, So then I looked it up, and it was actually Dhobi Ghat. They have preserved that bit of history where the Indian washermen from UP and Bihar went to Singapore and they washed the clothes. And there was a stream which is now, of course, been covered, and there's a big malls out here. So, Singapore preserves its multicultural heritage. They have racial integration policies. When they were a colonial country, and then when they got independence, they set up a street renaming commission. And they made sure that the streets were not, totally colonial sounding, but they made Malay names, Chinese names, Indian names. So all the four races got representation in the streets. The next example that I want to give again from Singapore is the Raffles Place. Like, here we want to we are very critical of the colonizer. We are want to erase those kind of things. But in Singapore, what I noticed is that Stamford Raffles, who had come as a part of the colonizing program, when he arrived in Singapore in Boat Quay, they actually have a statue honoring him as the founder of Singapore. So, unlike us, Singaporeans don't have that, tense relationship with the colonizer. The only part of their history that they don't like is the Japanese occupation in the Second World War from 1942 to 1945. The Japanese occupied Singapore and there were torture camps and, people were really tortured. So that is the only part of history that Singaporeans, are uncomfortable with. But the rest of the thing, they have a lot of colonial names, Dunlop Street, Stamford Street, Raffles Place. Yeah. So it is about embracing your multicultural past. Another city that I want to talk about here is again a city where I went for my postdoctoral work. So that's Chandigarh in India. So Chandigarh, as you all know, was totally agricultural, and after independence, Punjab wanted a new capital because Lahore had gone to Pakistan. So Le Corbusier was commissioned to design the city on the grid pattern, and as you can see, these are the neat grid forms that he planned. And in the periphery, you can see a lot of urban villages, Dadu Majra, Mani Majra, and so on. And the interesting part of the grid was that there was no sector 13, because 13 is an unlucky number in the Christianity. So he actually omitted number 30, and the grid pattern had sectors from 1 to 60 or so, and there was no 30. Now, in more recent times, in the year 2020, people of Mani Majra, I give you, it's on the eastern periphery of Chandigarh, bordering Haryana, and it is more of an urban village, but they are mostly migrant workers of lower income groups that are settled in Mani Majra. Mani Majra has a history of its own. It predates modern Chandigarh. It has a 360-year-old fort. That the picture you can see, that is the Mani Majra fort. It's more than 360 years old. Now, recently in 2020, some of the residents of Mani Majra who are middle income, they felt that because we are called Mani Majra and we are not in the grid of Chandigarh, we are not receiving amenities, and they felt excluded. So there was this big move where a retired army colonel, he went to the governor and said, give us a sector status. There's no sector 13 in Chandigarh, so make us sector 13. And so the governor said, but that is against the Corbusier plan because we are following La Corbusier. So then I actually interviewed Colonel. Yeah, that is Colonel. And I actually interviewed Colonel, and he said that I told the governor that 13 is unlucky in Christianity, but in Sikhism, we say sab kuch tera, 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 tera. So, citing that, he said, you should give us a sector status. You should call us sector 13. And the administration bought his argument, and Mani Majra was now called sector 13. Yet some of the original inhabitants of Mani Majra, the villagers, were very unhappy with this renaming because they thought that it was a loss of their history and a disruption of the grid and also confusion in their identity. And so they didn't want sector 13, they wanted to retain their name Mani Majra. So the point of telling you the story here is that, why are we changing the name? Who is it serving? What is the purpose? These are questions that we need to think about instead of accepting the name change. And I want to now end with the example of Lahore in Pakistan. In May 2026 or 20th May, the CM of Punjab, the government of Punjab, in the Pakistan side announced that they would revive the multicultural heritage and public memory by restoring the pre-partition names of streets. So, for example, Islampura would be changed back to Krishan Nagar, Babri Masjid Chowk would be changed back to Jain Mandir Chowk, Rahman Gali would be changed back to Ram Gali, Maulana Zafar Ali Khan Chowk would be Lakshmi Chowk again, and Fatima Jinnah Road would be Queen's Road again. So on 20th May, this was announced by the government of Punjab that the names will be changed back to the original pre-partition name. And on 26th May, it was a U-turn was taken on this decision, fearing the opposition and backlash from extremist groups. So it's not surprising that how much we have also been learning from our dearest neighbor. I end with 2 lines from the Pakistani poetess Fahmida Riaz. तुम बिल्कुल हम जैसे निकले, अब तक कहाँ छुपे थे भाई, वो मूर्खता वो घामड़पन जिसमें हमने सदी गवाई, आखिर पहुंची द्वार तुम्हारे, अरे बधाई बहुत बधाई.